And right now, it's time to talk to the one, the only, Mickie James. Welcome to Totally Driven Radio.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Poor Mark. I feel bad.
Poor Mark. I know. It's you know, it happens. I'm sorry. So how you been?
I'm doing great. I'm packing for my show on Saturday. Big where we have a show in Athens, Tennessee.
Okay.
A music show. Concert, if you will.
A concert, if you will. All right. I'm going to come right out. I got to ask the question before we get into music, before we get into wrestling. You know the question I'm going to ask probably, right?
I don't know. Is it a personal question?
Kind of, yeah. Because the rumors have come out a couple weeks ago, and people, as soon as I announced that you're going to be on the show, it's the first question everybody asked me, and I was like, oh, I don't know. So, are you pregnant?
I am. And
well, congratulations then. Okay.
We are very excited. Well, you know what it is? It's like I was almost apprehensive about taking this interview because I didn't want to have to publicly, announce it without doing our actual public announcement because we haven't publicly announced it yet, right? Like we've done with our friends. I busted your whole groove. You totally ruined it. You absolutely ruined it. No. No. We're super excited, but it's just, we just haven't had a chance to because he's been on the road so much. I've been on the road so much, and when we do have our little bit of time home, it's in the midst of, trying to get the room together and trying to get stuff all situated for, the baby's arrival, which, is a bit of a ways away, but it sneaks up on you, right?
Oh, absolutely. It'll be here before you know it, and then next thing you know, they'll be driving and going to college.
Stop it. Don't rush it.
I'm telling you.
I know.
Mark my words.
Excited. And, so, I'm doing September, and so obviously I've taken a bit of a hiatus from the ring, but I'm still performing on stage for a little bit. And then it's kind of crazy at the time that it came because I was working on so many different projects and I had so many things going on that everything just kind of got put on hold or, just brought to a screeching halt at that time, which for Nick, obviously, he's still steadily hustling and everything's kind of going forward with him. But, for me, obviously, it doesn't work that way, right? You can't just keep going 100 miles an hour.
No.
So, but it was a blessing, because I thought, had I sat there and waited until when I thought I was ready or when I was done doing all the things that I want to do, it would have probably never happened, So it was God's little blessing for me.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Hey, Mickie, for once in your life, let's not think about you.
You know what? I feel your pain on that one because I do the same thing. And I have 3 kids, so, yeah, it's tough. Here, a quick background on myself. Ex-pro wrestler, Chubby Dudley, ECW.
Uh-huh.
Play guitar in a band for 16 years. And now, as my wife says, my ego just can't, be a normal person. So now I do this. So I have to find some type of entertainment outlet to consume myself in. And here we go.
Well, you know what it is that you live, that's what performers and entertainers are. They do. Would we be content with, as amazing as doctors and lawyers, and I can't really say this for sure because obviously we've not pursued that type of career, and I'm sure that they find maximum fulfillment in their jobs because that is absolutely incredible. But I'm just not a 9-to-5er. I don't think that I will ever sit down in my life and say, okay, I can just sit at a desk, or do these, hats off to those folks that can do that because obviously they're what makes the world to continue to go round. But we as artists, we as performers, that's what we live and inspire to do, and we would not be happy doing anything else. Do you know what I mean?
This is true.
The goal of life is to be happy in whatever you do.
You're right. I'm not going to argue with you there.
I know. Now, you're preaching it right now.
Now, I got to tell you, when you came out with your first album a couple years ago, I was shocked and floored. since I left the wrestling business, I really have just stayed away from it. Like, I don't watch it. I don't keep up on it because, once that's in your blood, like, it's in your blood. And when you're around it, you want to be involved. And I just had to distance myself from it. So I really don't keep up to date on things. So when I saw you came out and were doing music, I was like, where the hell did this come from? And is this something you always wanted to do?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I played the violin for 5 years throughout school, middle and high school, and I was also in chorus. And I would also record myself for my mom, for my sweet, precious mom, who would actually have the patience to sit there and listen to my mixtapes, my sweet-ass mixtapes I would make. Do you remember, like, the A-side, B-side radio, right, where, you put the cassette in one side.
Yep.
And then record yourself with your microphone or whatever on the other side. Well, that was me.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah, but, so it was one of those things that, like, I always wanted to do it and always had this passion and this drive for it, as well as writing. And I wrote a lot of, like, stories, short stories and stuff like that throughout school, and, like, creative writing and novel classes and literature, et cetera. But it wasn't until I was on the road full time, and you coming from a wrestling background, like we were on the road. Like at that point, in the latter part of my career with WWE, I was on the road about 200, sometimes 250 days out of the year, and it's a lot of time by yourself, listening to I wasn't a gamer, I didn't play video games, and I still don't watch a ton of TV unless it's a show that I'm absolutely hooked on. Because of the acting and the characters or whatever, because that kind of stuff, I love it. But at the same time, music is what's just driven me my whole life. And so you spend a lot of time in the car also traveling, 200 miles after the show to get to the next town. And as I was doing that, I started writing, and I would write to whether it was melodies on the radio or melodies that were just popping in my head, and write my own lyrics and started writing songs. And after about about a year and a half or 2 years, it just kind of like, this was one of the things that I've always wanted to do ever since I was a little girl. And, this was my love equal to wrestling. Like, that wrestling was obviously my father and I's thing. Like, that was our niche. That was our bonding kind of element and kept us close. And still to this day, we still talk about wrestling. He knows more about wrestling, I think, like, especially what's going on in today's world than I do. So it's true. It's crazy. He'll tell me things and he'll ask me about it. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. No clue. But yeah. So and I just like I'm just I'm going to take these handful of songs that I've written and co-written with fellow artists like Karen Richmond when I had some downtime to work with or whatever, and I'm just going to take these to Nashville and I'll cut them. And if nothing happens, then nothing happens, like at least I did it. This is,
right.
It's the one thing that I've wanted to do and I've never done it. I'm going to do it regardless of what anything that kind of comes from it or what anybody says. And out of that began this whole, like, amazing journey, and so many doors opened up, and I got to work with, and I'm still getting to work with some incredible songwriters, and, from my producers to everyone along the way has just kind of really embraced me and my music and the type of music that I want to sing, So it's been an incredible journey, and obviously I got signed with E1 Music Nashville, and that's, we released Somebody's Going to Pay last May, which, yesterday marked, the 1-year anniversary, and we're talking about going back in the studio and obviously recording another album, and along with lots of other things, in the fire right now, but just kind of simmering at this point until October per se.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
But you've been around the block with wrestling. You worked your way up. You pounded the indie scene. You busted your ass. You made it to the big dance. You made it to the top of the heap. Had a great career with WWE. Went to TNA. Had a great career down there. Didn't you kind of like think to yourself like, do I want to like go back into the trenches again now and do it all over again in a different genre of entertainment?
I think yes, and here's why. It's because I recognized at the time, like, obviously I didn't foresee that my WWE career coming to an end when it did. I didn't see that happening. So, you know, when I had the chance to kind of go to TNA, at first I was a bit on the fence about it. I wasn't for sure if it was something that I wanted to do because I came from TNA. I was at TNA when it first started, when Jeff Jarrett obviously was there, and he was the owner and the founder of the company. So it was almost like I felt like I was starting to come full circle, right? So I was like, oh, is this something? But then, you know, given the opportunity and them being based out of Nashville and a chance for me to be in Nashville and work more heavily on my music and perhaps intertwine the two enough to where it would give my music more notoriety, but not enough to where it was, hey, there's that wrestler chick who sings. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was trying to find that balance and everything. It just kind of seemed to be like a perfect thing for me at that moment. But that's how I made it in wrestling. You know, that was it. Like, I did the grassroots sort of deal, which is a rarity these days, especially when it comes to the female competitors, where you actually got into the wrestling business to be a female wrestler, and not just to be a female wrestler, but to be or try to be the best damn female wrestler out there. You know what I mean? It's a rarity. Like, I think right now, as far as even on the division right now, it's probably Natty and Paige and Emma, maybe, that actually came from a pre-wrestling background. I'm trying to, like, think through the roster. Pardon me if I don't know the full. But it's not very common, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, that's what I know. That's for me, I guess it's one of those things of, like, in order to prove yourself to not just you, but to your fans and to the industry, it's kind of the way you have to do it. You know, like, that's to have the respect of your peers and have the respect of the business itself. There is only one way to do it, and it's not to be handed to you or to win it or to, you know, kind of get it by chance.
Right.
And we all get our lucky breaks, and we all at right time, right place, and everything else. But for the most part, you have to bust your ass and want it in order to achieve it, you know.
Right.
So absolutely, that's kind of the only way I really saw it actually working for me.
You know, and that was something, like, too, I was wondering, too, like, and you mentioned about your peers, like, your peers in both worlds, like your peers in the wrestling world, what were their opinions on your musical, you know, you're going into a musical career, and also, too, like, when you're playing, you know, concerts with some of these big-name country acts, what's their opinion, you coming from the wrestling world?
Oh, God. I think it's about, you know, it's a split. It's a weird mix. You know, obviously I think that there's this preconceived notion of, like, oh, it's a gimmick, or, you know, oh, you know, whatever. Oh, it's that chick. You know, she's kind of cute. And she was on TV. She was a big star. From the wrestling world, from my peers, it was obviously mixed. Obviously, my friends were very supportive and, like, that's awesome. Or even if they thought I was insane, they still were super supportive about it. But, you know, and you're always on the industry side, from the music industry side, what I've found is even if there is a little bit of that, oh, what's this? Oh, it's that wrestling chick. When they come out and they listen to the show, when they see the show live, when they hear the music and me actually sing the music live, they walk away with a totally different perspective of who I am and what I'm about. You know, so I feel like I've earned the respect of a lot of people that way.
That's cool.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah, right. But have you had any, like, I was wondering, did you have any, like, a country music artist, like, marking out for you, like, oh my God, you're Mickie James from the WWE?
It's crazy, yeah, because there are ones that have known who I am, or that are obviously wrestling fans, you know, that I've met and were just as stoked to meet me as I was to meet them, you know. So it's kind of cool. I mean, you don't think about it, but, like, country music or just music in general, rock music or whatever, our demographic of fans, the same loyalty applies. Like, once you have that fan, you have them for life. You know, and the same way with NASCAR or football. Like, once you have a fan, you'll have them for life unless you just completely stab them in the eye or something. It's totally,
right.
They'll love you forever.
Now somebody who has like kind of also done the same thing, Chris Jericho, where he's gone off and followed his rock and roll dreams. Have you ever talked to Chris and like gotten any advice from him on how he's done stuff and try to relate to the way he's been doing things?
Oh, absolutely. I've tried to pick Chris's brain a lot, actually. I mean, because he's actually crossed over, and then he's been doing it for over 10 years now, and
right.
to see the way he's built himself and Fozzy as a group, and then as a legitimate entity, in the rock world kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he'll go over to England and Australia and all across the UK, I guess, and he'll sell out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool, because I think for any artist, and this runs across the board, to cross over from one thing into another and to be taken seriously, and then to get that, notoriety behind you, it's a very, very difficult thing. And to have success at it is even more rare, like The Rock crossing over. Like, not
mm-hmm.
many actors, not many wrestlers have crossed over into the acting world and had the success that The Rock has had.
Right.
Just like not very many, wrestlers or actors or, whatever have tried to cross over into music and have had the success that Chris has had. Like, so hats off to him, because that is awesome, and absolutely. And so, yeah, absolutely. I've tried to pick his brain, and obviously he recognizes, like, the struggle and the being taken seriously thing and everything else. And even though we're two different, obviously, genres of music, it's still the same game, no matter which way you go. It's always a game. Whether it's wrestling, acting, music.
It is. It's always a game.
Yeah.
Now here's, like, which do you get the bigger rush out of now? Like, whether you're in a match and you pull off, like, the great spot and you get a nice, great pop from the crowd, or just a great match overall where the crowd gives you a nice standing ovation, or a song that just totally, like, you can feel it in your blood, how it's this crowd is just, you're over with that crowd with that song, and they just give you such a pop afterwards. Which gives you the bigger rush for you now?
Wow. It's really hard to say, because they come from two different places. I think that there's this common misconception that because I love music, that I no longer have my passion and my love for wrestling that I had once had, per se, and which is completely untrue. I love wrestling just as much today, if not more, than when I first stepped through the ropes. They're really special moments. Like, what I find is that in the ring, I'm running on, like, this raw aggression, adrenaline, kind of masculine type of emotion, where it's just raw aggression, right? Like, it's just this
right.
passion of, like, and like, in that moment, when you've done something right, when you've done something perfect, and the crowd reacts, and then you can just feel it among the people and just in the atmosphere, And I think that you can find that same moment on stage, too, when you just know that you have the people right in the palm of your hands, like they're feeling your song, they're feeling what you're saying. And even in writing a song, you can have a genuine kind of, like, especially when it's coming from a real place where you've been there, you felt that, exactly what you're speaking of and what you're putting into lyrics. And then when it connects with somebody and they come to you and they're like, I love that song. I've been right there. I completely get that song. Like, you get a special feeling from that. So it's really, I love them all equally.
It's hard to choose.
It's really hard to choose, because, on stage you're very vulnerable and you feel like you're pouring your heart and your soul. Even when you're rocking out, you're kicking people in the face with lyrics and, guitars. You're still exposing yourself in a certain way, to where most of the songs that I personally write have all come from a personal place in my heart or in my time or in my life, a time in my life to where I'm singing about the reality of me, or someone close to me. So when you're delivering that to someone and they're embracing it and accepting it, and you can just as much as you had felt it when you wrote it and when you were there in that moment feeling it, it's a special thing, you know.
Yeah, it truly is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you're saying. I mean, especially I think more so. Well, I mean, I guess it could be either way because you're creating a match, or if you're creating a song and you can feel the crowd feel it. Either way, it's truly a euphoric high to feel that from the creative standpoint.
Well, yeah, because in either aspect, you're telling a story. You know, you're taking people on a ride, and you're creating this drama and this story. Even throughout your live show, you know, you're singing 15 songs, and in those 15 songs, you want to take them on a roller coaster ride. It's just, you know, the same in a match, like whether you have 5 minutes or an hour. In your time, in your spotlight, you know, you want to take people on a ride and tell a special story to where that you can make them, if that's with anything in performing, if you can make someone feel it and have a legitimate emotional attachment to what you're doing, then you've done your job. If you can't do that, then you're not doing your job. You know, that's the goal of being out there and performing on the stage, is to make people feel.
Right. Absolutely right. Now, one thing I wanted to say, with the whole WWE thing, like you had mentioned, like your I guess your contract or whatever, you were surprised. I don't even know the circumstances. You were let go, I guess, or whatever it was.
But yeah, I was let go. And obviously it was, you know, they say I was changing direction of the Divas, and you know, obviously they were focusing more on the Diva era in a sense. And I feel like for me it was a bit of a catch-22 because I was fortunate enough, I feel, to be able to come in at a time prior to the Divas division being developed, in the sense of when there was still Lita and Trish, and then as the women came in, they were able to build a character on their own and build their own credibility and their own name and their own army of fans. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's going to be really, I feel like, you know, and then after that, after I was there for a few years, that's when the whole diva movement kind of came in, and it was a bit of a shift. And I found that it was harder as a woman, it was harder to be taken out of that and just be seen as Mickie James rather than the Divas. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, whereas the men don't have that obstacle. They're always, it's not like they're just considered the superstars. You know, they are these, like, and under their name, you just immediately know. And as being grouped underneath one lump sum, I feel like it's really hard it's going to be even more difficult. And so for the women who do it, kudos to them, but it's even more of an obstacle to break out of that just another diva mold, to be your own star, to actually go above that and be a star. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22 because it's obviously the Divas is very marketable, and they have their own television show, and there's this, but none of them have like that personality to where it's very rare. Like you only know, you know, you only really know about a handful of them, you know, where you really care about them enough to go, oh, that's who this is and this, that. Like you may know a couple of their names, but as far as in the ring and being emotionally attached to what they're doing out there, it's a bit more difficult, right?
Sure.
And perhaps it's just me, and I could be just speaking out of my ear right now, but from an outsider's perspective and from being in the business, I feel like when you have like a name like that, whether it's the Knockouts or the Divas, it makes it more difficult for you as a woman to break out and be Mickie James, Trish Stratus, Lita. You know, it's like when it was just that, when you were built off your own name, you had your own credibility, you had that time to build your own character and that development behind you.
Yeah, I was
can I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
No, you cannot.
I just wanted to say, for the record, I think it's a mistake because, I like to think that, and you guys hate me, love me for it or whatever, but if Trish is the Hulk Hogan of female wrestlers, Mickie James is the HBK, and I think it's a mistake to get rid of somebody at that level, even if you're switching directions, because, we've all seen that Ric Flair, transcends the Attitude Era and WCW and everything like that, and I really think that, some good writing could have definitely kept the place for somebody that I think is significant to any roster.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And obviously, the business is ever evolving and ever changing, and you can't say, hopefully, that I'd never go back or I wouldn't have, do something else or be involved in some other facet. But at the same time, I can't, obviously I wasn't the one making those decisions, but I was the one making my own personal decisions. And so it's just one of those things of you just kind of have to, it just was a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, but it was probably, in hindsight, a growing thing for me that I almost needed in order to move forward and see, because you become so in love with what you're doing and so in love with being a WWE superstar that you almost forget that there's anything else.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
So, but I wouldn't have traded my run there and wouldn't trade every moment that I had there for the world. It was one of the greatest times of my life, and, at that point. But obviously, as life goes on, we all live and we learn and we have even greater moments.
Absolutely. The one thing I was going to say, now this is just my opinion, and I've felt this way for years. It seems like what they do over there at the WWE, it seems like with the women, they don't do this with the guys as much, but they'll take you girls and they'll market you and make you into these stars and this great package and, the whole complete deal, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, they get rid of you. It's like they just use you up and spit you out, and that's it. They're done with you, and that's it. And it just, I get floored by it every time, because I've watched so many of them, this happen to, and I'm like, they created such big stars, and I would think a money maker and a draw, why would they just, I don't know. And it's always rubbed me wrong for years.
Well, I think the reality is that the women's life, as far as as being a WWE diva, or even it's much shorter than a man's career life in any federation, and obviously not in the acting world or even the music world, but as far as in an athlete in a wrestling stance in the wrestling world, it's. They're always looking for younger girls and training up and molding them to be the next stars. And so, I think that my career was actually pretty long. I debuted I lasted 5 years, solid 5. Obviously, there's people that's lasted longer. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Obviously, Trish has had a super long career, and Lita had a super long career. But obviously, again, that was, I feel like, before the diva era. You know what I mean? That was the different era, or as Trish called it, the golden era of when they had the best women wrestlers in the world. They had them. They had Jazz. They had Molly Holly. They had Ivory. Every girl that was in the ring could go just as hard as the guys.
Right.
Yeah, see, and that's why I was saying that I think Impact made the mistake, because if you look at her career from, Clockwork Orange to Hardcore Country, she, transcended different generations of TNA. You know what I mean? So they really had a chance to have sort of a legacy backstage, to have somebody that they can say, was with the company for a really long time, because at this point, there really isn't any, guys that have been around, or at least many that have been from the beginning, and that's why I'm saying that I think it was a mistake, because that was a real, it could have been a big figurehead, somebody to say, this is somebody that started here and was here, our legacy character, basically. And I just think it was a mistake.
Well, ironically, it was weird because they really didn't embrace the fact that, and I don't know if it was because it was the shift of power and different owners at the time and all the, inner stuff that I'm not privy to, obviously.
Right.
But they did not really embrace the fact that I was there when the first company first started, that I was on their first ever pay-per-view, and then a pretty staple part of their, at least for 6 months, of their roster.
Even more than that, though, you were somebody that the fans legitimately believed could go toe-to-toe with, with CM Punk and Julio De Niro and Raven and all those guys. It wasn't, you definitely weren't a diva then either. So that's exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
The more important question Nick wants to know, which he messaged me right away, Nick is the biggest TV junkie you will ever talk to or meet. The guy watches 100 hours of TV a week, and the first thing he said when you said I only watch a couple shows, he messaged me real quick. Goes, what shows does she watch? That's all he cared about. What TV shows does she watch?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm addicted to all the Law and Orders pretty much, and the CSIs, the Criminal Minds. I don't know why I have this sick fascination with. It's just not the police department. It's the whole the detective work that's involved in just opening and breaking this case. It just completely fascinates me. And so I love all those shows. I got on late to the Modern Family kick, but I'm a big fan of Modern Family right now. And the new show, Playing House, it tickles me. It tickles me pink. I was always a big SNL fan. Loved that show, as well as the Mad TVs. Those were super funny to me. Not so much SNL now, though. I don't watch it now. I just watch the older stuff, when Will Ferrell.
When it was good.
Yeah. What else? I'm that's hard. I really loved that show recently, True Detective. Obviously, another detective show. Oh my God, how good was that? And I'm not biased because I love Matthew McConaughey, but I'm not. I swear I'm not. That show was ridiculously good. And do you know that the catch is they're supposed to have apparently more seasons, but each season has different Hollywood actors playing the roles of different detectives in different towns. So different stories, right? Because obviously that one ended pretty rough.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where they go next with it. I like that sort of one season aspect. American Horror Story does the same thing, and it's awesome for it to change every season.
Right. And everyone tells me I should watch that and Dexter, and I don't like scary stuff. I'm not into the scary stuff. I did watch Sons of Anarchy, but that even got a little bit gory for me, which is crazy because and I was never a big fan, and I haven't been a big fan of. True Blood was okay for a little bit, but then it felt like it spawned this whole. Oh, now we have Twilight, which Twilight sucks because that's not how I like to see my vampires.
Right.
My vampires are Interview with the Vampire type of vampires. Not true about that type of vampire. I don't know. I know I'm spoiled. It's just, there's just a big difference. But anyway, so.
All right. So back to the musical. Back to the musical career. So what else do you have planned coming up? You said you have a show this weekend?
Yes, we have a big show in Athens, Tennessee at Tex 00, which is going to be fun. Super excited. I fly out tomorrow to Nashville to catch up with the guys, and then we head there. And then as far as music, well, then my next show isn't until right now on the books, aside from just popping in and maybe jamming out with a few friends when they're on stage or whatever, isn't until June 7th at Faux Show, which is, you know who Hermie Sadler is?
Yes.
No. You do? Okay.
It sounds very familiar.
Yes. Well, he was a bit involved with TNA, but Elliot Sadler's obviously NASCAR is his brother. Hermie raced for years, and then also races trucks now, and then he does like his own. He does with John Boy and Billy, does like radio spots with them, and he also does stuff with the Speed Network. I think he has a show on there. Anyway, he has a restaurant, Peoria, Virginia, because we're so close to home, right? It's like an hour from me, so I'm going to go play and hang out at his bar that night.
Oh,
so
nice.
That should be
nice.
Yeah.
What is it for you? Like you mentioned Nashville. I mean, I'm sure for years, working the wrestling scene, you crossed paths in Nashville. What is it now to go to Nashville as a musician and a singer?
Oh, it's awesome. It's such a great town, man. It's like so eclectic, and I think most people think, oh, Nashville, and they just think, oh, country music USA, but it's not even that anymore. There's, Vanderbilt's right there. They have, between the doctors and the musicians and then the arts, there's so many like artsy kind of areas. It's just a really cool, vibrant town that has a little bit of everything. It's like people from all walks of life, right? And even on the music scene, it's not just about country music anymore. They're doing rock, and they're doing pop, they're doing a little bit of everything there, and it's great. And you just never know who you're going to see or who you're going to run into randomly, whether you're just walking the streets or shopping or, in the bar. You just don't know who might be sitting beside you. It's crazy like that. And
it's everybody, like anybody, it seems like who's involved in the music business, they've left, they left Hollywood, they've left New York, and they've all just converged down in Nashville.
It's great, yeah. Because it feels like home. It's like one of the big cities left that still have that small town feel.
Right.
Where it's still a bit of like that Cheers atmosphere where everybody knows your name. It's super cool like that, and everybody's laid back, and you just kind of feel at home.
That's exactly what John Corabi, who was in Motley Crue, he took Vince Neil's place in Motley Crue for a couple of years. When we talked to him, he's down in Nashville now, and that's exactly what he said. He's originally from Philly. He said it's the only town that reminds me of Philly, and it's just filled with music, and everybody is so nice, and it reminds him of Philly, like growing up sitting on the front steps, and everybody was sociable and nice and just talked and were cordial and like a family. And he said it's the same vibe down there.
All the time. Yeah, I totally feel him on that. It's great, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I got a couple tunes queued up. I'll play one as I let you go. Anything else we got to plug for you? Website, MickieJames.com, correct?
Yeah. I'm pretty easy to find. It's just my website's MickieJames.com, and from there you can find everything from my Twitter, which is at Mickie James. My pretty awesome when your real name is super cool. It's cool enough to just use it.
Right. No, all right. And actually, I was just going to say real quick, my wife is going to kick my ass if I don't say hi as well, because you guys sort of know each other, I guess. She was Daisy May.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so she'd kick my ass if I didn't say hi for her, because I know her and my daughter are listening now.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Funny.
Well, tell her hello for me. That's awesome. How's she doing?
She's doing great. We're out in Phoenix, Arizona now, but she's doing well. Thank you.
That's awesome. Good. Phoenix.
Yeah, that's see, I can just keep coming up with questions, but going back to wrestling, what do you think of like the whole? I mean, the indie scene now has changed so much for women because there's so many women's indie federations now.
Yeah. There is. I have noticed that, and I've not worked for any of those Shimmer. And I know Shimmer's the really big one, right? That's the one with the most notoriety as far as like the best girls, right? I don't really know because there's so many of them right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not like what was? I mean, back then it was the one that was running out of the arena. What was it, Nick? That was the one, right?
Yeah, D-Lo.
Yeah, Dan Cool and them guys. Yeah.
Well, I think, where that whole idea kind of spawned from was Japan. Because obviously women have their own federations over there. And
sure.
That's kind of like the idea of like to bring it over and cross it over into the States, because we really didn't have any of that, especially on a larger legitimate scale. Like we had gimmicky stuff,
Yeah.
But since Glow, really, like there wasn't really an all-female federation, and obviously there's a demand for it, or
right,
they wouldn't be doing as well as they are. So I think it's great, and I think it's great for the girls because they're bringing in talent from all over the world, and then the girls are getting tons of time in the ring, and because that's where we learn, and that's we learn in front of people. We can practice for hours, but being in front of the people is where you really hone and master your skills, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Very nice. I'm going to let you go. I promise. Just
okay.
Real quick, if you can cut an ID for me. Just
sure.
This is Mickie James, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Sure.
Whenever you're ready.
Hey everyone, this is your favorite women's champion, Mickie James, and you're listening to Total Driven Radio.
Thank you. All right, so which song should we play as we let you go? I got, let me see, I got Somebody's Gonna Pay or A Good Time. A Good Time's a real rocker.
I love A Good Time. And, most people, hopefully at this point, have heard Somebody's Gonna Pay, since it is the title track and it was the single and the music video where Trish was in the video, Magnus was in the video. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, I saw the video.
I
was like, damn, that's Trish Stratus with dark hair. Check her out.
I know, right? Chick kicking. Well, his name's Joe. He's an OVW. We had some OVW guys since, obviously OVW is like my family. I love Danny Davis. Had some of those guys come in and play the Knicks kind of entourage, if you will. Bad guys,
nice.
All the bad guys.
The bad guys.
Yeah, all the bad boys. So it was awesome. It was super awesome. But yeah, she looks great in that video, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Always showing me up. I'd shake my fist.
Oh, it's too funny.
But A Good Time was written by Lorna Flowers, bless her soul, and a good friend of mine, Bridget Tatum, who also co-wrote She's Country for Jason Aldean.
Okay.
So some killer songwriters on it, and I'm honored to have this song, and it's just amazing, and I love it. So I hope everybody else does.
Cool. All right, well, let's play that one. I want to play that one because that one rocks.
Rock it.
Let's rock it. All right, Mickie, thanks so much. Good luck with everything. I hope you have a beautiful baby. I'm sure you will.
Thank you. Thank you so
and,
much.
And, we'll have to talk again and promote whatever you're up to.
Awesome. That sounds great. I can't wait.
Awesome. Cool. Great talking with you. Thanks so much. And everybody. Oh, okay. Thanks. And here it is. Mickie James, A Good Time. This one rocks, so crank it up. And there it is, Mickie James, A Good Time. That tune's awesome, man. That's a good song.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like I didn't want to say it while she was on because it's a little bit disrespectful to other people, but like her stuff actually like rocks. You know what I mean? Like so many of these people put out albums and you have to pretend that you like them. You know what I mean? But like these songs are a good time.
Yeah, well, hence the title. But as soon as I heard that song this afternoon, like her PR person sent it over to me, and as soon as I played it, I was like, not what I was expecting. I was like, wow, this freaking tune actually rocks. Like so, yeah. And check out if you haven't seen that video for Somebody's Gotta Pay, check that out too, because Trish Stratus is in it, and she's kicking ass on the bad guys, shall we say? So, all right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick commercial break.